All right, here we go. Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report live here on Chat Sports. It's a beautiful Thursday, May 23rd of 2024, and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate all of you for making our Niners coverage a part of your day. There's certainly a lot to get into on the docket for today's show. Niners OTAs in session this week, picking back up next week. So there's a lot of news, a lot of analysis, a lot of buzz, a lot of rumors, a lot of developments that we're going to get into on today's show. And here is the Niners Report rundown. We're going to go through some Niners OTAs news. Is Christian McCaffrey going to hold out? Is he looking for a new contract extension? That story taking center stage from Santa Clara. There are some Niners roster rumors I want to discuss. And then we'll also take a gander at the top free agents left, players that San Francisco could still sign in NFL free agency for depth and to bulk up this roster. We also want to do a mailbag, so start getting those questions in right now, honestly. Hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat. And it's been a little while since we've been live. Haven't done a live show since the NFL draft. We've still hit you with so much content every day and every single week, but I was on the road, sister's bachelorette party in Maryland and Washington, D.C., picking up a lot of my NBA coverage with the NBA storyline starting to gather momentum. So it's good to see everybody once again, and we're going to have a lot of fun on the show here today. Let's get the comment section going. Where are you watching from? We're emanating live from the Chat Sports studios, but where are you? Time in the Buckeye, Ohio. Ernesto rocking with us from Tucson. Joey saying, yo, Chase. Yo, Joey, get that roster together. Let's go from Mr. Black Ice. Niner Raul, Fresno, California. Steve, Hutto, Texas. Arizona from Elizabeth Sanderson. Jeremiah Grady, Mayo, South Carolina. Chino Hills, Cali. Hi, Faithful from Gina G. Joey, Virginia in the house. Mr. Black Ice representing Akron, Ohio. George Branson in Carson City. 16 Bar King, Bay Area. Mike Dunn, Bakersfield, California. And Evernick in Maryland. One more, Robert Sist getting it in there. Woolbridge, Ontario, Canada. And of course, Frank watching from Hawaii. And we're going to pass along a lot of Niners news from OTAs this week. And I'll tell you this. This is a beautiful sight right here to see players on the practice field at the SAP Performance Center in Santa Clara, especially a player like Nick Bosa. Highest paid non-quarterback in the history of football. I imagine the Niners went up to him and said, it would be great if you show up for OTAs. You didn't sign that contract until September 6th of last year. We were missing you. But now that you're back, we'd love for you to show up because it sends a statement. It sends a positive message to all of your teammates. And Nick Bosa to be engaged, obviously it means a lot when a player like Brock Purdy, who we're going to show you right now, says, if Nick Bosa is here, we're all going to take OTA seriously. Also, San Francisco coming off the heels of that heartbreaking Super Bowl loss, job not finished. And Brock Purdy, according to my guy Larry Krueger, looking a little bit bulked up. Really good shape, good base, arm strength there as he continues to continue his ascent as a great quarterback in this league. And then a part of Niners OTAs, minicamp coming up shortly in the distance, training camp after that, is seeing some of these new additions to this Niners roster. That includes Leonard Floyd, really good edge rusher, a lot of twitch. Last 4 years, 9+ sacks in every single season. Brandon Staley played a role in him coming to the Niners, and he said, Leonard Floyd, one of the best football players that I have ever coached. And Leonard Floyd with the legendary quote this week, why did I join the Niners? Because they play big boy football. You know who also plays big boy football? Deebo Samuel. Looking slim, looking fit. He's lost some weight. He's been involved in trade conversations. He's hoping it's not his last year as a San Francisco 49er. He's rocking the new number 1. And for Deebo and Bosa to be at Niners OTAs, usually And in the past, they haven't shown up to these voluntary workouts. But when you have team leaders and team captains coming and showing up, what does it do? All of the other young players are like, wow, we got to take this seriously. It ain't nothing but work. Kyle Juszczyk, number 44, best fullback in the National Football League. He's also there. So I get it. Brandon Aiyuk, Juwan Jennings, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, and others not at OTAs. It's voluntary. Not everybody has to show up. I'd make the argument Trent Williams doesn't have to. He's in his mid-30s. He's played great football throughout his entire career. But look, you're still going after that vaunted 6th Super Bowl, and the work starts right now. You get in the lab, iron sharpens iron, you perfect your craft, and then at the end of the season, hopefully the Niners raising that Lombardi trophy, and it starts right now in May. Here's our Super Chat menu for today's show. If you want to donate, you want to support the program, we certainly appreciate that. All Super Chats get a shout out. $10, you can sign the Toby Willis Niners helmet. A lot of gold stickers on here from a lot of loyal viewers. $20, we'll do 20 push-ups. $50, we will drink. And if anybody wants to send in a big-time Super Chat to be a part of the Niners Gold Mine Hall of Fame, we'll send you a San Francisco shirt if you send in a $100 Super Chat. 72 people watching live. Make sure you get those questions in right now using the hashtag 49ers or send in a Super Chat. Producer Chip right above me on the ones and twos. There are so many comments that come in the comment section all throughout the broadcast, so it allows Producer Chip to filter all of those other things out so that he can focus in on your questions. All right, let's get it. Who's ready to talk some Niners? Bang, bang, Niner gang. San Francisco. If you're ready to start the show, I need everybody watching right now to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. We're live for the first time since the NFL draft. We're ready to get it. There's plenty of great nuggets to get into. Recent commenter club, Ramilia, Jeremiah Grady, Kenny Powers, Mr. Block Ice, Ken Dowsland, Joey, Bismarck, Evernick, Ginty. It's always good to hear from some real ones. We're up to 24 likes right now. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video as we're about to get the official show started. Hugo De Jesus saying, yo. Joey saying, let's go. So if Joey's saying, let's go, Chip, I think we can rip it.
Let's do it, baby. Who's ready?
I think we can get it going. If Joey has given us the go-ahead, I think we can get into it and talk some Niners football here. Ramilia saying, Chipper, Rams are dangerous. I agree. Los Angeles Rams are a dangerous team. They ended last year very hot, and I think that they're going to be one of the Super Bowl contending teams in the NFC, and of course, naturally, they're going to compete with the Niners for the NFC West crown. A loaded show coming your way on today's San Francisco 49ers Report. So let's get it going right now. A happy Thursday to the faithful. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you as always for making today's show a part of your day. And what I want to get into is some developing Niners news and a storyline that's picking up some momentum, gathering some steam. Is Christian McCaffrey holding out of Niners OTAs with minicamp quickly approaching because he wants a new contract? And the buzz behind this story is really starting to garner a lot of attention in Santa Clara and for Niners fans everywhere. And last night, I kind of started everything by putting out a series of tweets on X. And to me, it made a lot of sense at the time. And then when people started to look at that Christian McCaffrey contract on Over the Cap or Spotrac, they realized, like I did, there's no guaranteed money left on that deal. That massive extension that he signed with the Carolina Panthers, the guaranteed money, it's dried up. So let's run through my thoughts. Let's go through all of the latest here, including a very interesting quote from 49ers running backs coach Bobby Turner, who basically alluded to the fact that maybe Christian McCaffrey is seeking a new deal, more guaranteed money, a restructured contract, something along those lines. So, is Christian McCaffrey unhappy with this deal? And that's why he didn't show up to Niners OTAs. McCaffrey's 4-year, $64 million contract, which pays him on average $16 million per year. He'll make about $12 million this year. What a bargain for San Francisco. Runs through 2025. So translation, the next 2 years. So he's going to be a free agent in 2026. And according to Spotrac, he has no guaranteed money left on that contract. This is a talking point because last year, remember, we talked about it here on the show. Christian McCaffrey did show up to OTAs. He was at every single practice, and everybody raved, considering the elite premier player that he is, about his practice speed, his effort, how hard he went, the example that he set, him being a leader and a focal face on this Niners team. But after racking up 2,000 all-purpose yards this past year, winning NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and finishing top 5 in MVP voting, which is rare right now in today's NFL for a running back, does he want a new deal, a restructured deal, or more guaranteed money? This is also why this is a story here. Because as a 27-year-old running back with some wear and tear, I wouldn't blame Christian McCaffrey for wanting a new deal. I see where he's coming from if this is where he's coming from. Furthermore, Christian McCaffrey has been the Niners' offensive MVP the last 2 years. No guaranteed money left on that deal. He's getting a little bit older. Kyle Shanahan wasn't given a reason why McCaffrey was not at OTAs. CMC usually doesn't miss OTAs. Now, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people saying, Chase, relax. You're drumming up this story and you're causing drama. The man is getting ready for his wedding. He's about to get married. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. It is currently May. Christian McCaffrey is scheduled to get married in Rhode Island in June. How do I know that? Because his soon-to-be wife and current fiance, Olivia Culpo, has said in TikToks they're getting married in June. So if I was McCaffrey, I'd want some guaranteed money on my deal. That's why this is worth rapping about and discussing. And for people to say, lay off of him, he's worried about his marriage, or at least he's focusing on his marriage. Look, if I was set to get married, it doesn't mean that I can't show up to work. I know it's voluntary, but he showed up last year. And he is a player who loves to practice. You think about what his dad did in grooming and developing him as a football player when he was coming up. He had to wear sweatpants on game days because his dad thought that jeans restricted his legs. They were heavy, so they'd make him tired. He'd make Christian McCaffrey wear sunglasses because squinting takes away from your energy. CMC lives and breathes football. And we're talking about the NFL here. Yeah, it might be voluntary, but you're expected to show up to work. So it was so predictable that people took this as if I'm stirring up drama, when in reality, I'm pro player here. I'm supporting Christian McCaffrey. But of course, in the social media era, a lot of people are going to get disgruntled by me posing a question and having a conversation about something that's interesting and something that has even more weight now, because 49ers running backs coach Bobby Turner, when asked about CMC being absent yesterday on Wednesday, said, well, that's the business side of football. So yeah, it is a thing. And clearly, there might be something contractually here, and that's the reason why McCaffrey is not in Santa Clara. So with that, let me ask you this. What say you? Should the Niners give McCaffrey a new deal? 2 years left on it. Roster getting a lot more expensive. P for pay, N for no. Make sure you share your thoughts with me down below in the comments section. As always, we love to hear from the faithful. I always love rocking my Chubbies, and you can get 20% off, and you can see for yourself what I'm talking about by going to chubbyshorts.com/chat. Have you found your swimsuit for the summer? I have. American flag, Memorial Day coming up. It's the perfect fit. Do you want to enhance your wardrobe? I've been able to do that with Chubbies, rocking the Chubbies shirt and the Chubbies shorts. Again, this is a great deal, limited time only. 20% off your purchase using the code chat at chubbyshorts.com/chat. Skies out, thighs out. Summer coming up. quickly approaching right around the corner, and our friends at Chubby's are bringing the good vibrations. Chubby is a lifestyle apparel brand that makes every moment feel like a vacation. They say fashion is an expression of one's character, so why not let the world know you're down for a good time? Chubby's offers a variety of high-quality men's apparel, from super stretchy shorts and swim trunks in 3 short inseam lengths to pants, polos, and button-down shirts like the one that I was rocking and the swimsuit that I'm rocking right here. Do you have that new swimsuit lined up for the summer? If not, check out Chubby's classic lined swim collection. Their swim trunks, they feature quick-drying 4-way stretch fabric, an elastic waistband, single zippered back pocket, and built-in mesh boxer brief liner. Pockets on the swimsuits, huge. Available in multiple inseams, these trunks offer vibrant colors and fun patterns for maximum beach or lake-ready style. So for a limited time only, Chubby's is giving our listeners, our viewers, 20% off your order with our exclusive code. What is that code, you may ask? It's simply the code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com/chat. We'll put that link down below in the show notes. We're going to put it in the comment section, and it'll be attached to the pinned comment of this video so that you can look good, feel good with Chubby's. So from McCaffrey's standpoint here, why he might be looking for a new deal, Brandon Aiyuk seeking a new contract. Juwan Jennings might be seeking a new deal too to get some more cash. And Christian McCaffrey's like, well, hold on. Who's been the most valuable player on this offense the last 2 years since the Niners traded for me in the lead up to the deadline at nearly the halfway point of the season last year? I have been the MVP of this offense. And as we know, running backs don't age well. McCaffrey is 27. He's looking for another big deal, which could be his last deal. Now, I do think McCaffrey is a little bit unique in this sense. He's unique because he can line up at the slot spot, and he can catch passes as a wide receiver. The footwork is tremendous. A lot of NFL players think that he could be a top 10 wide receiver if he wanted to do that, and maybe that allows him to age a little bit better as he gets older. But if McCaffrey, with no guaranteed money left on his deal, gets hurt, the Niners can cut him, and they don't owe him any money. So if other players are getting paid, McCaffrey's like, well, you've seen what I've done for this team the last couple of years. Why not me? And there's pressure on him because given the shelf life of a running back and the reality of that position, it could be his last splash, lucrative contract that he's able to earn. Now, of course, the next question becomes, has McCaffrey earned a new deal? Should he honor the contract that he signed with the Carolina Panthers that has 2 more years on it going through 2024 and 2025? Then he'll be an unrestricted free agent in the 2026 offseason. I think he's earned a new deal, at the very least, a restructure, some guaranteed money going his way. Because this year, he's on the hook for about $12 million. That is a bargain for the San Francisco 49ers. Look at what he's done the last 2 years, because in 2022 and 2021, injury-plagued seasons. 272 carries between the Panthers and the Niners in 2023. Almost 1,500 rushing yards. This is in 2023. So 2023 numbers I'm reading now, and this is when he was top 5 in MVP voting, NFL Offensive Player of the Year. 272 carries, almost 1,500 yards, 5.4 yards per carry, 14 rushing touchdowns. And then on top of that, he adds 67 catches and 564 receiving yards. And then in 2022, another big workload, and he was even better as a receiver. 244 carries, 1,100 plus yards, 4.7 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns, 85 catches, and 741 receiving yards. So when you look at those receiving numbers, this could allow McCaffrey to age a little bit more gracefully, to save his body just a little bit. And I imagine he might want some more guaranteed money because, shoot, the Niners are up 3 touchdowns, and Kyle Shanahan's running him on an inside draw right up the middle, and he's taking big hits from 300-pounders, and that can wear the body down a little bit. Let's be real here. Since the trade, this is not a hyperbolic statement. It's not a hot take. It's not an exaggeration. Christian McCaffrey has been the best running back in the NFL, the best offensive player on this Niners offense. You think about the win-loss record for San Francisco since they traded for McCaffrey, this has been a franchise-altering, franchise-changing move for the San Francisco 49ers, and it's been a cost-efficient, financially savvy move because the Panthers had to pay him a lot of that guaranteed money, and then the average annual price tag the last couple of years for the Niners has also been very affordable for what they've gotten as far as production. But then going back to what McCaffrey might be thinking here, he's like, man, I'm 27, led the NFL in touches and yards in 2023. I've been utilized a lot by Kyle Shanahan the last year and a half, and my body's feeling beat up a little bit. And we know that running backs, sometimes they can age literally overnight, where one moment they got it, they're elite. Next moment they wake up, body's feeling it a little bit, and then they lose some of those superpowers. What the predicament is for the San Francisco 49ers here from a team building strategy, from a cap standpoint, they continue to run into this problem. We can't afford everybody. And now this is a Niners team where if McCaffrey is indeed unhappy with this deal, he wants to get paid and might want a restructured or a new contract. Brandon Aiyuk wants to get paid top 5 wide receiver money on a deal which probably starts between $25 and $28 million per year. Jawan Jennings might be seeking a new contract, even though the Niners gave him that second-round tender where he's scheduled to make in the neighborhood of $5 million. And the big one, Brock Purdy, if he plays in 2024 and performs like he did in 2023, he could demand somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 million. That's why this year for San Francisco is a big one. It might be the last dance, so to speak. I said that right after the Super Bowl defeat, because we might see some of these marquee faces move on because the Niners not going to be able to hold on to everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, by the way, for daily coverage of the Niners. My goal is to give all of you thought-provoking, insightful, informative, entertaining analysis that involves you, the fan. That's a big reason why we're approaching 133,000 subscribers. All right, 100 people watching live, 38 likes. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. More likes that we get, the more people who see the stream, the more fun that we'll have here going live for the first time since the draft. But we're back and better than ever right here on the show. If you want to donate to the show, it's Thirsty Thursday. Let's have some fun. All Super Chats get a shout out. $10 will get you on the Toby Willis helmet here. $20, we'll do 20 push-ups. $50, let's drink. $100, we'll send you a San Francisco shirt because we're always appreciative of those who send in big super chats to support the program here. Segment number 1 is down. We have 3 more segments to get to. One of those includes a mailbag. Use the hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat. Do you have a question? Do you have a hot take? Do you have some analysis? Do you want to say what's up? Do you want to send in a super chat? We'll include all of those on our mailbag segment, but you have to use the hashtag 49ers or super chat for producer Chip to put that into our system. Recent commenter club, Mike Viertel, Erwin Espinoza, Jeremiah Grady, and Jesus Lopez saying greetings, gentlemen, and of course, the faithful ladies as well. Coming up next, some Niners roster rumors, and Kyle Shanahan not happy with the NFL schedule makers. Schedule number 2, or segment number 2, coming up right now on the Niners Report. Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Hope all of you out there having a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. Will the Niners cut running back Elijah Mitchell? We'll dive into that. And it appears as though Kyle Shanahan not happy with the NFL schedule makers, with the Niners having a historic rest disadvantage on the 2024 slate. Let's begin here with story number 1, and that is the future of Elijah Mitchell in a Niners uniform. And we've continued to talk about this here on the show. Is Elijah Mitchell on the roster bubble? You pose that question and you think about it to yourselves. Mitchell has been constantly injured in his 3 years in the National Football League. He's certainly exceeded expectations ever since being a late-round pick a few years ago. And since coming into the league when healthy, he's been able to produce. But you also think about some of the moves that the Niners have made, which could signal the end for Elijah Mitchell, or at the very least, their concerns about him being able to stay healthy. One of their moves just happened at the end of April, trading up to take running back Isaac Guerendo, who has just a fascinating profile as far as his build and his speed, physical, 4.3 40-yard dash guy. You know the saying, you can't make the club from the tub. And too often in 3 years in the NFL with the 49ers, Elijah Mitchell has been off injured. And it's certainly an issue because teams want to know that they can count on a player to be available. And Mitchell has not been available enough. His games played by year. Rookie year, he was awesome. Still only played 11 games with 10 starts. Expectations for him going into 2022. Injured again. 5 games, 1 start. And then in 2023, this past year, 11 games, 1 start. Now, a lot of people have realized and forgotten about Elijah Mitchell, and they've realized how special Christian McCaffrey is, which has kind of hidden the fact that Mitchell hasn't been available to this football team because of McCaffrey's brilliance and how good he's been for this football team. But you look at those games played by year, and that's not good. And you think about the moves that the Niners have made at the running back spot specifically ever since they drafted Elijah Mitchell. They had concerns about the health in 2022, and because of that, the overall production. So at the near halfway point of the 2022 campaign, they traded for Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey runs for 2,000 plus all-purpose yards, top 5 in MVP voting, NFL Offensive Player of the Year. And then what do the Niners do? They move up in the draft to take Isaac Guerendo out of Louisville due to the injury concerns with Mitchell. But let me also throw this out there. To me, Mitchell did not physically look like the same player in 2023 that we saw in previous years. He looked a step slow. He looked a little bit hesitant. It's not to say he can't come back from those injuries and get back to that 2021 form, but even if in his best year in the NFL, Elijah Mitchell's still a player who was even injured as a rookie. This isn't a slight on him as a football player. Unfortunately, the reality of the NFL, which stands for the National Football League, but also not for long, is this. Some players are durable, some players are brittle, and Elijah Mitchell might fit the latter category. You look at his career numbers up to this point. As a rookie, 207 carries, 963 yards, 4.7 yards per tote. If he plays more than 11 games as a rookie, he's running for more than 1,000 yards in his first year at the NFL level. That's hella impressive. Year 2, a lot of expectations for him, but he only plays those 5 games. And the thing with his injuries, he's had a bunch of injuries. Knee, concussion, hand. He's just been banged up in multiple parts of his body. 6.2 yards per carry, really good. 279 yards in that sophomore campaign. And then this past year, very limited as far as his opportunities to run the ball because of injuries and McCaffrey being a stud. 11 games played, 75 carries, 3.7 yards per carry. That kind of backs up my concerns of him lacking that pop with 281 total rushing yards. His career numbers up to this point, when you translate that to a full season, these numbers would be awesome. And we'd be talking about Elijah Mitchell as being yet another running back under Kyle Shanahan who's been highly productive. But again, those injuries just snake-bitten him a little bit. 327 carries, 1,500 plus yards. The yards per tote, really good at 4.7 with 9 touchdowns. Let's show our poll question for today's show. And I want everybody to answer it down in the comment section right now. Will Elijah Mitchell make the 53-man roster? M for make, C for cut. Our reason we're talking about this is because Bleacher Report put together a list of players who could get cut by all 32 teams in the National Football League. And they were some of the more marquee players on every single roster who could be let go. Their choice, their selection for this Niners team, Elijah Mitchell. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say. Elijah Mitchell soared into the NFL with 1,100 scrimmage yards and 6 total touchdowns as a rookie. Injuries limited him to 5 games in 2022, and he again held a backup role in 2023. San Francisco could cut Mitchell, moving ahead with some combination of Jordan Mason, Patrick Taylor, and rookies Isaac Guerendo and Cody Schrader. Cody Schrader, a player who we have not yet talked about on the show. He led the SEC in rushing last year. The Niners picking him up as a UDFA. And football coaches and people who love ball absolutely love Cody Schrader for his work ethic, how he keeps his legs churning, his toughness, and his story. He was a D2 player who then walked on at Mizzou, earned a scholarship, and then he led the best conference in college football in rushing. I think he has an opportunity to make this team. And the fact that the Niners always have a fullback on this roster, in this case, obviously Kyle Juszczyk, and over the last several years, Kyle Juszczyk, puts them in a little bit of a roster pickle because they might have to cut bait with the running back. Christian McCaffrey is, of course, going to make the team. And then there's going to be a competition for RB2 snaps in general and who makes this team between Elijah Mitchell, Isaac Guerendo, Cody Schrader, and Jordan Mason. Interesting conversation there and something we'll continue to monitor as we look ahead to roster cutdown day later this calendar year. If you want a Ricky Pearsall jersey, he's going to be rocking the number 14 for San Francisco. You can get yours today at chatsports.com/Pearsall. He's off to a good start in rookie minicamp as well as OTAs. The footwork, the route running, all on display. It's chatsports.com/Pearsall. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. Story number 2. Is Kyle Shanahan unhappy with the NFL and its schedule makers? Shanahan admitted he wishes the Niners did not have such a great rest disadvantage. Here's what he had to say this week from Niners OTAs. I know what our preference would be, but you never know whether that affects you or not until you get there. And there's a lot of things that go into the year. Lots of things that can hurt you on the schedule. I'd rather it be a different way, but there's a lot of things that could be worse too. The line that sticks out to me there, I know what our preference would be, and then on top of that, I'd rather it be a different way. Kyle Shanahan knows it's not ideal to have minus 21 days as far as the rest disadvantage. That is tied for the largest rest disadvantage in the NFL since 1990. And back then, they didn't care about player safety. Nowadays, they're supposed to care about player safety, yet some teams are playing 3 games in 10 days on multiple occasions during the 2024 NFL slate. And you compare the Niners, number 32 in rest disadvantage, to the Ravens, number 1 in rest advantage. The Ravens are at plus 16. The Niners, minus 21. That is a 37-day difference. So you think about the football season, right? Regular season starts in September, October, November, December, and then it runs into January. So 4+ months. And here you have Baltimore with more than a month rest advantage in an 18-week schedule compared to the Niners. Does that sound fair? I don't think it is. Of course, is it everything? No. Is it something? Yes. The 2 teams that met in the Super Bowl last year, San Francisco, Kansas City, were 1st and 3rd respectively in rest disadvantage. But football is a physical sport, so you can't act as though this is absolutely meaningless. I think Warren Sharp of Sharp Football Analysis is one of the best in-depth football analysts in the game. He's the best analytical analyst in the game. And he shed some really interesting insight on this Niners schedule here. Let's run through it. There were 3 games that he looked at where the Niners had a rest disadvantage last year that really popped out to him. The game against the Bengals in Week 8 gave Cincinnati plus 8 days of rest edge as the Niners played on Monday Night Football on the road, by the way, in Minnesota Week 7. Thus, the 49ers were coming off a short week road game with reduced rest while the Bengals were off a bye. The game against the Browns before that in Week 6 put the Niners on the road against the Browns team coming off a bye. The game against the Seahawks in Week 14, late in the season, when Seattle was off a nice mini bye, having played Week 13 on Thursday Night Football and obtaining a plus 3-day rest advantage over their division rival in Week 14. The results of those 3 games, this is where I have to stop you if you tell me it doesn't matter. The Niners went 0-3 against the spread and lost against the spread by 32.5 points combined, despite being favored by 14.5, 9.5, and 4.5 points in those 3 games. They also went 1-2 in those games. So you can see where Kyle Shanahan is coming from, why I've talked about it here on the show, and why the players are like, well, hold on. The NFL is claiming that we care about player safety, yet doesn't seem to be the case. Does the NFL hate the Niners? I don't think they hate the Niners, but some fans have brought up that question. Why for yes and for no? Thanks for watching the show, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, 112 people watching live. Please make sure you continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, subscribe to the show, and continue to comment. No Super Chats in yet, but we're always down to clown on a Thirsty Thursday. All Super Chats get a shout out. $10 gets you on the Toby Willis helmet here. $20, we're doing 20 push-ups. $50, let's drink. $100, you send that in, you're a member of the Goldmine Hall of Fame, and you'll also get a San Francisco shirt. One more segment to get to until we get to our mailbag. But again, get those questions in right now using the hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat.
Only a few questions so far. Let's get some rolling in here. Jeremiah Grady asking a question about Drake Jackson. OTA starting up. There's got to be something on y'all's mind.
Rick Diaz. Hey, Chase Sr. Hey, Rick Diaz. Do you think the Niners are at, I'm going to have a good season? Where do I think the Niners are? Still one of the most talented teams in the NFL. I have them winning 11 games, one less than last year because I think the schedule is a little bit harder. And they played deep into the year, 4 of the last 5 years, making it to an NFC Championship game with 2 Super Bowls there. So I think they might be a little bit beat up. I don't like the vibe so far with a couple of marquee players not showing up, but of course it's early and a lot of things can change. Coming up next, the top free agents left. Players who San Francisco could sign as depth pieces. That is segment number 3 coming up right now here on the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us and hang out here with us. Coming up, top free agents left. And we're going to take a look at some players I'm surprised are still available in NFL free agency. And some of these players who we'll talk about also fulfill needs that are still vacant, open on this Niners roster here. Let's begin with talking about 2 players at the same position. And I can't believe these players have not been signed by any of the other 31 teams in the NFL. Xavier Howard, who played last year with the Miami Dolphins, and Stephon Gilmore, who played last year with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm impressed by how the Niners have fortified the depth at the cornerback position this offseason. They have a legitimately deep cornerback room. And it might be the deepest under head coach Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. There are good competitions that are going to take place, and then I also like the overall talent of this Niners DB room. You have Charvarius Ward, who was a second-team All-Pro last year. Diamador Lenore, 3 years in the NFL. He's given up 3 touchdowns in coverage and continues to be an emerging player whose toughness I absolutely love. And of note here, Nick Sorensen did say that Renardo Green is going to start off in the slot. So that probably tells me Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenore going to be the outside corners with maybe Renardo Green on the inside. But when I talk about this depth for San Francisco, you have Ambry Thomas, who I know has been criticized a lot by Niner fans. He was awful in the playoffs last year, benched in the Super Bowl, but we've seen him play well in games, but hasn't been a good practice player, which is obviously an issue, especially for a coach like Kyle Shanahan who values practice. You have Darrell Luter Jr., Rock Ya-Sin, Chase Lucas, Isaac Yiadom, Samuel Womack. Like, this is one of the deeper cornerback rooms that they've had in a long time. So when you talk about Xavier Howard and Stephon Gilmore, I think they're good players still. I think they have gas left in the tank, but I don't know if the Niners need to go this route at the cornerback position in signing one of those players unless an injury does happen. And if that's the case, then Xavier Howard or Stephon Gilmore could be a good option. Xavier Howard last year still had 12 pass breakups, even though he's lost a little bit of a step, 1 pick, 1 TFL, and 45 tackles. And then Stephon Gilmore really had to step in and be the Dallas Cowboys' #1 cornerback a year ago because Trayvon Diggs got hurt and he tore his ACL. And he had 13 pass breakups. So Howard, Gilmore, making plays on the ball, still having good instincts, 11 PBUs for Howard, 13 for Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore did say this past week he wants to go to a place where he can win and a place that makes sense. He still believes that he can play good football in this league, and I think that he can too. Former Defensive Player of the Year, still balling. Coming in at number 3 is the All-Pro safety Justin Simmons. Released by the Denver Broncos in a cost-cutting move, I cannot believe that Justin Simmons has not been scooped up yet because unlike some of these other players on this list who have declined a little bit, I don't think Justin Simmons has really declined at all. He might be entering his age 31 season, but he's a 4-time second-team All-Pro for a reason. My man leads the NFL in interceptions since entering the league in 2016. He has range. He has instincts. He has smarts. He's a team captain. He's a good leader, a good cultural fit. All of those things make sense for the San Francisco 49ers. And I would say, unlike corner, where you have a lot of depth, I'm not sure how much depth the Niners have at the safety position just because of the uncertainty around Talanoa Hufanga, who during OTAs is working on the side field, recovering from that torn ACL. I love what Jair Brown was able to do as a rookie. I think he can be a really good player in this league. He looked jacked when he met with the media earlier this week, so he's added some weight. He even said, that was the longest football season of my life because I wasn't used to it. From Penn State into the pre-draft process to the combine to rookie minicamp, OTAs, training camp, and the regular season. But all things considered, Jair Brown played really, really well. But with the depth, Malik Mustafa is a rookie. Eric Harris is a lifetime special teamer. George Odom, one of the best special teamers in the NFL. He's paid like it too. That's why the Niners gave him an extension. But at that safety spot, there are some weaknesses and flaws in his game. So with Hufanga still recovering from that torn ACL, the depth there is a little bit thin, which is why I think Justin Simmons would be a tremendous pickup for San Francisco in a move that could really move the needle for this football team. Take a gander at what he's done over his last 4 years. 2023, 15 games played, 70 tackles, 3 picks, 2 TFLs, 2 forced fumbles. He's more of that deep safety, so he's not going to make a ton of plays behind the line of scrimmage for those TFLs. He is a sure-handed tackler, though. He had the 6 picks in 12 games in 2022, 5 picks in 17 games in 2021, and then 5 more picks in 2020 with those 96 tackles. So again, he really is still playing at an all-pro caliber level. Couple of players left to get to on our top free agents remaining list. But first, to ask you this, what's the biggest position of need for the Niners right now on this team? But let me challenge you. Say outside of offensive line, what's the biggest need? Because offensive line still does have some glaring weaknesses. It is the offseason, but you can always support the Niners. And you can always support this show right here, the San Francisco 49ers Report. Those of you who watch our watch parties know when there's a touchdown scored, like Mr. Papa, San Francisco. Get your shirts now available in red and black by just simply going to chatsports.com/SF. We have sent these over the Pacific Ocean to Australia, across the pond, the Atlantic Ocean to the UK. Get yours today. chatsports.com/SF. At number 4, you're probably wondering up to this point, Chase, you have not talked about the offensive line. Well, we're doing that right now. Charles Leno, formerly of the Washington Commanders. He's coming off a hip surgery. And last year with Washington, 880 snaps, an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 72.5. He gave up 3 sacks and 5 hits. Those are not bad numbers. The hurry numbers at 26, not great. You know what's actually pretty awful, though? 10 penalties. Could that have been because he was feeling that hip injury and he wanted to jump a little bit early because he had lost a little bit of mustard with the get-off coming off the line of scrimmage? Maybe. The overall Pro Football Focus grade, that is a good thing. 72.5, that is above league average. But after signing Chris Hubbard, the Niners probably made the decision to sign Chris Hubbard over a player like Charles Leno, and that's the decision that they went with. As for this Niners offensive line, fascinating to see how this plays out. Jake Brendel dealing with knee tendonitis, so John Feliciano taking center snaps during OTAs. Dominic Pooney is getting backup right guard snaps with Spencer Burford in there as the starter. I think the middle to right side of the Niners offensive line to be determined. We know what the left side is going to be. Trent Williams, Aaron Banks. But will Jake Brendel, John Feliciano, maybe even Drake Nugent play center? Who will play right guard? Will it be Feliciano, Burford, or Dominic Pooney? And then at right tackle, Colton McKivitz, Chris Hubbard, could be a little bit of a competition there. Colton McKivitz getting first team reps this week at OTAs. If I was running the team and I was the general manager, the right tackle position would be better. I was fine with the Niners not taking one with the 31st overall pick, even though Ricky Pearsall was a reach. But in round 2, I would have traded up for Roger Rosengard. I would have tried to taken Kingsley Suamataia, a Blake Fisher at some point, a Karan Amagaji. I would not let offensive line issues continue to hold me back from reaching my fullest potential as a football club. At number 5, Emmanuel Ogbah. He's been a very productive player throughout his career as an edge rusher. In edge rusher depth, you're a little bit light there. Can Drake Jackson finally put it together? He still is not practicing, coming off that knee surgery, which prematurely ended his season last year in 2023. We've seen the flashes. As a 2023 second-round pick or 2022 second-round pick, he certainly has a lot of ability. Twitch, arm length, wingspan, bend, physicality. He just hasn't been able to do it to a consistent level. Chris Kosaric, very complimentary of him when Larry Krueger asked him about him, but he has to get on the field. He has to show it. And the practice habits need to be a little bit better from things that I've heard, where sometimes he's had a little bit of a lapse there. Now, Drake Jackson's still a really young player, but with the injuries and the uncertainty around his play, and then you look at this Niners defensive line depth chart, specifically at defensive end, are you a little bit thin? I think so. You are counting on Robert Beal, who's added weight this offseason. I think I saw he's up to 250, 260 plus pounds. He has good get-off, good speed. Yetur Gross-Matos can be in that Arden Key role, can play inside, outside. Drake Jackson, Austin Bryant, another edge rusher here, would really fortify this unit. And that's with the Niners, of course, acquiring Leonard Floyd in free agency, who's had 9+ sacks each of the last 4 years. And Brandon Staley said he's one of the best players I've ever coached. As for Ogbah here, 5.5 sacks in 15 games last year with Miami on a Dolphins defense that suffered so many injuries. Year before that, only 9 games, 1 sack. But then in those previous 2 campaigns, 2021, 2020, 9 sacks. So you look at the production over the last 4 years, he has consistently been able to get after the quarterback. You don't need him to be a starter. You would just need him to be a rotational edge on this team, and I think that he'd be capable of doing that. Get involved in the comment section right now. Pick a free agent you want the Niners to sign. It could be a player who we talked about, a player who we did not discuss. Either way, let's hear from the Niner gang. We're moving through this show right now. 3 segments down, 1 more to go, and we'll wrap up with the mailbag. Game Time saying too many people asking for money. They need to sign Jamal Adams or Justin Simmons. We talked about Simmons. Did not talk about Jamal Adams on this show, but we've talked about him in the past. Tyrick saying, Chase, hey man, what up, Tyrick? Jeremiah Grady saying Isaiah Simmons. I like it. He's the best player on that list. That is for sure. All right, mailbag time. Last call to get those questions in. Hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat. Send it in, Jerome.
Come on, baby. Last chance. We can use a couple more here. So if you got something on your mind, make sure you use hashtag 49ers.
Hey, look. We don't get a question or questions. We'll just sign off.
It's your chance to get on the show, man. Get on the show. It's exciting. You get your name up on the screen and everything in a video.
Tyrick said I changed my name. It was 49 Ty. What up, 49 Ty? Get on the show. Get on the show.
Another one from Jeremiah Grady. If you already asked one, you can ask more. No need to limit you to one.
Yeah. There's not a cap.
No cap.
There's not a cap. No cap.
No cap. Got a good one from Niner Mafia on McCaffrey. Talked about it a little bit earlier. Good stuff to talk about here.
Yee. Gina G getting a question in. I see you, Gina.
Gina.
Jeremiah Grady bringing the heat. Hugo De Jesus said linebacker or edge. Tyrick.
All right. I think we think
good,
we're solid.
Chipper?
You can still get one in while we're going, so keep getting them in. There we go. Game time. There we go.
If somebody sends in a $50 super chat, I'm shotgunning this after the mailbag.
Uh-oh. Thirsty Thursday, baby.
I'm shotgunning this after the mailbag on this Thirsty Thursday live on the 49ers Report. Glock Purdy. Brrrah. Brrrah. All right, mailbag coming up right now. That'll round out our live show here today. Yo, what's good? Welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Hope all of you out there are having a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. And of course, you're staying safe out there and honoring all of the soldiers who have fallen in serving our country. Before we take your questions here on the show, don't forget to subscribe to us here on the San Francisco 49ers Report as we continue our pursuit of 133,000 subscribers. Let me ask you this question. Do you want Niner shows every day that involve you, that are informative, thought-provoking, insightful, entertaining, fun, and free? If that's the case, hit that sub button right now. Let's start off our mailbag segment with this one coming in from Niner Mafia. Everyone is looking into Christian McCaffrey not showing up to OTAs a little bit too much. He's getting married in June. Here's my question, though. If he's getting married in June, why is he not showing up to OTAs in May? And why did he show up to OTAs last year? If Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel are in attendance, when usually they're not, and if players like George Kittle are there, not practicing, but there, why is Christian McCaffrey not there? His fiance, the beautiful Olivia Culpo, has said in her TikToks, yeah, they're getting married in June, but everybody was raving and fawning over Christian McCaffrey's practice efforts last year, setting an example for the team. Also, let me ask you this. Why did Niners running backs coach Bobby Turner, when asked about Christian McCaffrey's absence, say it's part of the business? If it's part of the business, is Christian McCaffrey looking for guaranteed money, a restructured deal, or a new deal? Look, people are coming at me for sparking this conversation when in reality, I'm defending and supporting Christian McCaffrey. All of that guaranteed money from that lofty deal he signed with Carolina, it's gone. So if he were to get hurt, the Niners could cut him, and they don't owe him anything as his contract runs through 2024 and 2025. He probably wants some insurances and reassurance that he can get some dough if something were to happen. And as we know, running back position, players get banged up. So I do think this is worth talking about. Appreciate it, though, Niner Mafia. Jeremiah Grady, what is going on with Drake Jackson? Drake Jackson. What an interesting player. He got that knee surgery last year. To me, the Niners were clearly worried about his play, production, him being the player that he is, and the injury issues because they went out last year and they traded for Chase Young. And then Drake Jackson underwent that knee surgery. He has vowed that he's going to be back better than ever, but I need to see it. What's interesting about Drake Jackson is that we have seen in spurts the type of player that he can be. Fascinating size, 6'4", 273, long wingspan. And you think back to his rookie year and the start that he got off to. He had a sack in week 3, week 5, week 6. So that's 3 sacks in his first 6 games. Zilch, none after that, including him being a healthy scratch. And then last year, he has 3 sacks week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you're thinking, Drake Jackson, he's arrived. After that, nothing. And then he got hurt. To me, it's a make or break year for Drake Jackson. It's time to eat. And if you don't eat, maybe you got to find another role with a different team across the NFL. Chris Kosaric, very complimentary of his skill set, his physicality, what he can bring. But I'm tired of talking about what he can bring. I need him to show what he can do. So year 3 for Drake Jackson with his rookie contract expiring after year 4 is going to be a big one if he wants to prove that he can be a part of this defensive end rotation for San Francisco. And the Niners could use him. John Wallace, is it possible that Chris Hubbard can start at right tackle? I've talked about this here on the show, and I talked about it with Larry Krueger. Chris Hubbard's numbers last year, Pro Football Focus, pressures surrendered, sacks given up, they weren't bad. He's a 10-year NFL veteran who's played a lot of football in his career. In the stops that he's made in his career, he spent a couple of years with Pittsburgh, a couple of years with Cleveland, and then last year with Tennessee. He's clearly trusted as a swing tackle, a backup offensive lineman, but he started a lot of games, and last year before landing on season-ending IR with the torn triceps, which he's fully recovered from, he was pretty good for a team that was not good. And Colton McKivitz gave up 47 pressures last year, a lot of sacks. Colton McKivitz needs to prove that he can be a little bit better, that he can improve, because offensive line issues continue to hurt this football team. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of a competition between McKivitz and Hubbard, but it's also not a good look because Hubbard didn't show up for voluntary OTAs. If he wants to take that role, got to show up, in my opinion. Colton McKivitz right now, the entrenched starter. Hugo De Jesus. The offense is built off of timing. Have you ever noticed how sloppy our offense can look when it's compared to other teams? That's why I think I want to stay with the offensive line that we have. I mean, last year the Niners were the number 1 overall offense in the NFL. They averaged almost 30 points per game. My issue with this Niners offense is how they struggle against elite defenses. And last year, it was Kyle Shanahan struggling against really good defensive minds. From Jim Schwartz to Brian Flores to Mike McDonald to Steve Spagnuolo in the Super Bowl. And there were a couple of reasons for that. In the Super Bowl, the Chiefs, they got consistent pressure on Brock Purdy. That was because of the offensive line and then the bad design and game planning of the offensive line protections. It was also due to the fact that Kansas City played a lot of press man, and the Niners struggled to beat press man. Against the Baltimore Ravens, Christmas night, Brock Purdy was throwing picks left and right. Baltimore playing a lot of physical coverage, getting after the quarterback with their front. That caused problems. And then Schwartz, Flores, they drew up really good game plans, which really stifled San Francisco's offense. It's all about making the adjustments. That's not to say that Kyle Shanahan is not one of the top offensive minds in the NFL. He definitely is, but he can be a little bit better. He can evolve. He can make adjustments. He's not perfect by any means. And the Niners haven't won a Super Bowl under him because he's failed to make some of those adjustments. He's blown some big leads. He's had some bad game planning malpractice. So he can get better. There's no doubt about that. I do believe that Kyle Shanahan at some point is going to bring a Super Bowl, the 6th Lombardi Trophy, to the Niners. Jeremiah Grady, do you think that we are going to make a move before the season starts? Yeah, you think about where the Niners are at right now. I'm pretty sure, and I can just check this to be sure. As far as their salary cap space goes, I'm pulling it up right now per over the cap. Currently, San Francisco in the bottom third of the NFL with $6.2 million in cap space. But following the Eric Armstead release, because it was a post-June 1 designation, that is going to free up $18 million for San Francisco to have at their disposal. So that's $18 million on top of the 6.2 that they already have. Simple math, that's $24 plus million. That can roll over to next year to also absorb the Eric Armstead release. You can use that on contract extensions for Brandon Aiyuk, Diamador Lenore, Talanoa Hufanga. You can budget that money for a Brock Purdy deal. You could do a couple of different things. Of course, context does matter, and context changes thoughts and opinions. If injuries are to happen or were to happen, then of course the Niners could get aggressive. Look at what they've done the last couple of years. Traded for Chase Young, traded for Christian McCaffrey, traded for Charles Omenihu, traded for Jordan Willis. They've made moves in season to improve their team, and I wouldn't rule out John Lynch being aggressive once again. Tyrick, 49 Ty, is Brandon Aiyuk actually getting traded, or are they false rumors? As I've always said, I think Aiyuk and the Niners are going to agree to a long-term deal. I think he's going to get between $25 and $28 million with where the market is right now. Ultimately, I think a deal is struck. Hopefully it happens sooner rather than later so that Aiyuk is in camp, working on that continuity camaraderie with Brock Purdy so you have your full cast of offensive weapons to get ready for the 2024 season. Look, I know on social media, some people have tried to rip me and saying, you're spreading fake news. All I'm talking about is the reports from elsewhere. And yeah, I have thoughts on them because who knew? I have a Niners talk show. But yes, I do think Aiyuk does come back to the Niners. They get a deal done. He does not get traded. If a trade were to happen, man, that would send shockwaves throughout the entire NFL. Gina G, the OG, looking good in the profile picture as always. Gina G, what do you think about Brandon Staley joining the Niners? I like it. I know some people think that he's a cornball. They've seen his pregame stretches and him running stairs as the Chargers head coach. He's such an analytical nut, which I'm not going to lie, that would drive me nuts as a fan because sometimes you have to make decisions with your gut. I like the aggressiveness, but it's got to be calculated. But I like Brandon Staley as an addition to this coaching staff. Look, give Kyle Shanahan credit. If there's one thing that he can really do, obviously outside of play calling, play designs, and being a good offensive mind, it's putting together a good coaching staff. Mike McDaniel, D'Amico Ryans, Robert Saleh, Clint Kubiak. Like, he's developed really good coaches. He's helped develop Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Bobby Slowick. The list goes on and on and on. So he has an eye for coaching talent. And Brandon Staley, I know it was the COVID season, and all numbers were a little bit wonky that year, but the Rams had one of the best defenses in the NFL. And he also played quarterback in college, so he sees both sides. He's a smart football mind. And if you put together a bunch of smart football minds on your staff, oftentimes you're going to be in a good spot as a coaching staff. And it's not like he's the DC. He's just helping with the defense. And he's helped them make some of the draft selections and free agent selections so far this offseason. I don't mind it. Steve, do you think that Glock Purdy will have his best season yet? I know a lot of people have said he could decline this year. It's hard to duplicate what he did in 2023. But on the other side of that, couldn't he improve in 2024? Because with more experience, you get a little bit better. The game slows down. You understand the nuances. You can get better. You can improve. You can make adjustments. And I'll say this, like Brock Purdy finally has a full off season in which he's going to get all of the QB1 reps. Going into his rookie year, he was QB3. Made the most of his opportunities. That's why he's made the team. And then in year 2, he had to come off the elbow surgery. Now, full off season, and Nick Bosa even said he's gaining a larger voice in that locker room. Game time. Last question here. Why do you believe the 49ers haven't signed Justin Simmons or Jamal Adams at safety? For Jamal Adams, it's because he's cooked. Can't play safety anymore. If you want to try him out as a hybrid linebacker, maybe do that. But in coverage, he's been bad. He's also been injured. And for Seattle, highly expensive. That's a bad combination right there. Of course, he's a free agent. He'd come at a fraction of the price of what he was making with the Seahawks, but I just don't think he's that good of a player. For Justin Simmons, could it be that the Niners are waiting for that $18 million to open up to have more roster flexibility to sign him? Because I think he immediately makes your team better. You could still find a way to play Justin Simmons and Talanoa Hufanga and Jair Brown on the field at the same time. Because Talanoa Hufanga can play hybrid linebacker. Jair Brown could play hybrid linebacker. You're not going to trot out a lot of 3 safety sets, but it makes your team better. There's no doubt about that. And maybe they're just waiting for some money to open up, or maybe they're comfortable with the current safeties on the team, including Malik Mustafa and then George Odom, a special teams ace. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for daily and year-round coverage of the San Francisco 49ers. And as always, thank you for supporting the show. David Corona in the building. What's up, David? Last call for Super Chats. If you want to send in a Super Chat.
Last call.
You got to send one in within 2 minutes.
Some good questions there, man.
Good questions. Good questions.
Good questions. I knew y'all had some burning questions. Just had to get closer to the mailbag.
Two minutes, Dos. Johnny Dubs!
Oh!
We're going to put him on the Toby Willis helmet here. Johnny Wallace. Good to hear from the legend again. I agree about both sides with CMC. Hubbard should start. Can you imagine him starting? Kudos to our stars, Kittle, Bosa, Debo. Honestly, credit to the stars. They don't have to be there. But look, if I'm making a lot of money and I'm a team captain, a team leader, a marquee player on a team, I mean, I have a big role here at Chat Sports. A lot of say on air, some say behind the scenes. I'm looked at as a leader here, right? One of the marquee on-air hosts at the company. I got hired as employee number 8. Now we're about to surpass 30. We've gone through multiple office expansions. I feel a part of the Chat Sports movement. If we had organized team activities that were involuntary or voluntary, I'd still feel a need to show up because I'm a leader. That's what leaders do. Johnny Dubs.
Let's go.
Giving him a gold sticker to go on the Toby Willis helmet.
Yes, sir. Get on that helmet there. Let's fill that bad boy up.
All right. Good stuff today. 4 segments. What's everybody doing for Memorial Day weekend? Anything good? I'm going to be watching Matthew Peterson's dog.
Oh, wow.
Going to hit the golf course. Hopefully hang out by the pool. Relax, chill. If any Niners breaking news happens, give you some great content.
I'm going to attempt to golf.
Attempt to golf.
See how that goes.
Hugo, brother's birthday party, a barbecue. I miss having a good old-fashioned barbecue.
Man, that'd be sweet.
That's something that would be fun. A barbecue by the pool.
Huh.
Maybe that's what we can do. Wrangle up some Chat Sports employees. Have a barbecue by the pool. That could be a good time.
Would be sweet.
What's everybody else doing? Anything? We'll give you some shouts before we dip. How many miles have I run this week from Hugo? I ran 3 today, 3 yesterday, 3 on Tuesday, and then a shorter run, but played basketball on Monday for our Chat Sports League, as Chat Sports United is 0-4. So my body honestly gets a little bit beat up after basketball. I need a cold plunge bad. But I still was getting 3 miles. So what's that? I think I ran a mile or 2, not including basketball. So the last 3 days, 3 miles each day. Hugo. John Wallace. I love the honesty. Me and my on and off girlfriend are going hiking to the mountains on Monday, church Sunday, working through the weekend. John, I hope the girlfriend becomes an on girlfriend, not off.
Huh.
And I hope you enjoy the hike.
Yeah.
That's something I might do too. Take Matthew Peterson's dog on a little hike. There's a good spot not far from here. All right, we're going to sign off. 4 segments in the can. Thanks to everybody for supporting the show today. We'll be back doing our weekly live shows once again from here on out. And then once the regular season gets here, if you want us to, might do a couple of live shows per week like we did last year, as we averaged about 3 live shows per week, including our watch parties. For Chip, I'm Chase. For the Niner Gang and the faithful, thank you for watching. Salute to all of you. Have a good Memorial Day weekend, and be on the lookout for our content. See ya.